Yo, yo, we're back. Kamal Hart on the chart, going bar by bar. Here's the pre-market, and let's hop in there. Um, hmm. So move down, sideways movement, breakout back to the highs, right? It's about 6:02, 30 minutes before they open. At this point, there are a couple things we are looking at. Obviously, the range in here, there's a breakout pullback. So we can work with that. And it doesn't fit super perfect, but in my opinion, that's pretty close enough. And when you see these bars that look like they break outside, uh, I wouldn't say that's a convincing close outside. So I would just count that as some noise, but that's not convincing enough. It's currently like this bar, this is a convincing break, but this is just, that's kind of noise. However, you end up seeing that, just make sure you see it consistently like that, and it'll generally do you okay. So maybe a second entry long, if we can find one, trying to retest these highs. That's the first entry, big signal bar. The second entry is right here off this doji. There's a little lip going right there, but not a good signal. We're not that close to the EMA. Probably had to skip it. Would have worked. So now that we have a breakout side, move to a new high, and look how it tested that EMA. Breakout side, move to a new high. Now we can expect, reversals, ranges, uh, continuation, but we're aware that we don't want to just blindly keep buying. Here's a second entry long, a little bit sus just because we coming off this high, made a move down, so we were above, now below the EMA, and had a swing lower. So in theory, you're already starting to kind of look at um, a bear trend, micro trend, small developing trend. But that's just if you look at it like purely technically. But when you really look at it, it kind of looks sideways as well. The EMA starting to go a little flat. So I'll just wait. Let's see what happens. This is another one that works. But I think in that situation, if you're not just completely biased towards the to the bull, because this even made a low lower than here. If you're being aggressive, you might have bought that, but you know, it's really in that gray area. Then we get some stack up here, and now I'm starting to see the tops. It's even a matching top from way back in here. So now you see the tops a little bit, and we can go ahead, put something down here. We don't have the lows yet. Here was that most recent low. So you can start there, and that kind of cuts in the middle through this one as well. So we can adjust the lows as we see fit. We want to buy if we can down here. That's kind of just like a first entry. It's nothing there. This is a lower high, this trade right here off this high. Lower high trade. We're getting close to the middle. So depending on which side of the midline this ends up on, which looks like it's going to be about there. That's just enough space. It feels aggressive, but this is a setup, so we're going to mark it. And that's probably why, a lot of setups, it never breaks below, so we got to wait to see it break below. and then it breaks below there. Only thing I could have said before this break is you can see how this bar is inside of this bar, inside of this bar. So it's a little bit sideways, and we're kind of towards the lows of that sidewaysness. That starts to make this trade pretty aggressive. When this trade was here, if it would have broke below, that's maybe a different story. But here, it's starting to feel sideways. If you're in, I mean, your stop is still up here. And depending on how you have this order, if you have your stop below this bar, the red bar, it actually hasn't filled. It's only if you had moved your stop up above the green bar. So depending on your management, you might not even be in yet. If you're not in, I understand why you would exit. If you are in, your stop is just up here, and you got to you can tighten it to the entry, 2 ticks above the entry if you want, and that one goes regardless, never ticks above. So either way, you could have controlled some risk when it have been tested, or you could have left it when it had been tested. And then even if you would have left your stop here, you would have got filled. But at that point, that idea feels a little late. But nonetheless, you could have got filled 88.75. We make it all the way down to 86.75. And then we have this trade here. It's really sideways, but sometimes when it's so sideways, it makes it really obvious. This is a failed break, a failed second entry, not a failed break, but a failed second entry long, and a second entry short. Almost a repeat signal bar, same sort of thing. You're on the upper side of the range, which I feel like the range moved. Maybe you're at the midline at this point. Yeah, you're probably, right there at the midline on this trade. So that's another thing kind of making it aggressive. So it's up to the individual trader whether they want that or not. When I saw this, I liked this, but maybe that's because I'm slightly aggressive. Um, so because it's there and a trade within the context, we're going to mark it. That one runs off, breaks out the low side. Uh, Big bull bar, inside bar. Of course, we're expecting the failed break. Is that a matching low? No, 1 tick short of a matching low. But there's no real setup right here unless you're just being aggressive. So we're going to wait on like a higher low. Like here, this is a really good one. This is one of those trades you don't think too much. You just empty the clip right here, you know. Um, Perfectly at the edge of the range. We're expecting the high side test. Nice signal bar. Got some room to the EMA. Showing support. That's a good trade. Look how it shoots off. All these people are exiting. So that really just shoots off. Looking to fade up in here unless we get a breakout pullback, which happens here. And the funny thing about this breakout pullback, real time, the bar probably opened up, broke below, and then came back to the high side. So once that thing broke back above that high side, you can buy that. Maybe a little aggressive in the context, but that's also a failed second entry short off this low. First attempt, second attempt. That's the breakout pullback trade and a breakout trend. It's maybe a little challenging to buy on these big breakouts, right? When you just see all these consistent bars. But this is when your probability is actually the highest of a with trend entry. It's really got to get that in your head, but this is actually when your probability is the highest. So when you see this trade, it's a little complicated. So that for that reason it can be skipped. But if you're seeing this, there's nothing wrong with that. And then even if you want to go back and get more ideas, we could be looking at a measured move. This is leg one. We got the breakout side. It ranged, trying to figure out where it wants to go. And now it's like, okay, yo, we're going higher. So that gets us a target up in here. What's that? 3504. So to be continued. See how we're still working on that trend? It looks like we're just now breaking outside. Even this, not a convincing break outside. Depends on how you draw this line, to be honest. But because I don't want to go too flat with it, I know you could maybe draw it somewhere in here. That's okay. It's really just a depends on your personal preference. I think I like it best maybe here or something. So this way we haven't gotten a break. Prices are still holding. Here we have a break. Looking for the retest of the high. That's the first entry to the high. Pulls back. Here's a second entry long. Here's a second entry long. I feel like, this is easy to judge because we're up so much. We're expecting the pullback, but we had the breakout pullback. So this is a real trend, and you should be anticipating a move to the high. So if we get prices breaking above here, this is a buy. We're a little bit far from the EMA, but this is just a two-leg pullback. A two-leg pullback. So if we break above, you want to buy. It doesn't break above, but it breaks above there. With this signal, the signal bar doesn't look as good. So that might have canceled the trade out. I don't know of any technique where I would have left the stop on this bar, although this is the second time today that would have worked as this continues higher. Right here, if you would have left your stop order right there once it did break above, you got your scalp. And also back in over here on this trade. If you would have left your stop right there when prices did finally break through, you would have got your scalp. So I've seen that twice now, so I'm gonna take a note of that. That's something. But maybe that idea is a little too early yet, so we're just gonna stick to what we know. And then we get another big leg. You would have liked to participate in that, but it is what it is. Getting that bearish signals after an extended move. No trades, but just maybe we're gonna start looking for a lower high. There's another breakout pullback. And then once we start getting the breakout pullbacks up in here, at some point you got to think, is there something going on up in here? But it doesn't fit that great. It doesn't really fit that great. So we just got to wait. Let's see. Well, it's not that this doesn't fit great. This fits okay. It's kind of confirmed. Maybe there's two touches here and a third touch. So if you want to count it like that, okay, three touches. But off the highs, it's not really that confirmed. Man, we just keep shooting on up. What I'm really trying to do right now is get a feel for like where the market would go from here and what should be our new levels. So level here, trend. And then how does that fit off the high side? See, off the high side, if I'm using this, that's not enough. But I could bring it down here and then double it, and that might get you somewhere in there. I like how that fits so nicely off that measured move. So there could be a channel like this, but this red one isn't confirmed or really in play even. So just waiting to see. Getting a lot of stack up here at the support area. Um, this is a good time to also note that before I drew this channel, whenever we have a move, a breakout side, and then we continue higher, from this high until we get significant price action, so like a range, a reversal, um, maybe a breakout pullback, but a with trend breakout pullback is it doesn't tell me anything new. I already know it's going up. I'm trying to figure out when we get a retracement, is that going to be a safe enough place to buy? So for me, from here, from this bar till this congestion zone, it's almost a no entry zone. There's nothing to enter because I can't create a new line, a new thesis that makes sense to me, that gives me a reason to be looking for trades. So in that area, I'm not even looking for trades. But when I get this area, this is clearly some congestion. I don't have to guess what's going on anymore. Now I can start to build a thesis from here. And honestly, this helps me more than drawing another channel here, right? Show you why. So we got that stack up. We're getting a break outside, closing below the EMA. And this is actually another important point because now that I remember, like sometimes it does matter to get your trend lines right. Because I know in the chat someone had the trend line like this, and I think it fits well off the high side. Yeah, yeah. This fits, in my opinion, a lot better if you go from this low to that low. So the thing is, okay, this brown line still isn't necessarily confirmed because it's one touch, two touch, maybe three touches, but that could just be the second touch, right? But I like how it kind of responds to the high side, and we have a couple moves here. So now the trade is a lot more obvious, but still we're back in this range and we're getting the breakout of the congestion. That was that lower high. We can take a failed second entry, and since we broke out of this range, we haven't moved above a previous bar. So I want to be mindful of that. When we do start to turn, we might come back to test. But then right there, we get a failure. And that's what we want to see. That's a really nice setup. Um, Coming off the high side of the range of the trend, we're probably going to come test this side of the trend now. It's aggressive because we've been up kind of most of the day. But given the context of what's going on right now, that's definitely a setup that is worth considering. And then from there, there's probably a trend working in somewhere around here. And then we get this setup. This one's aggressive. This is a second entry short off that same trend channel that we're working with. It's right at the lows though. But um, in the context of this market, you're kind of expecting maybe a second leg like this leg. I'm not going to mark it, but when I saw this morning, I was ready to double up. I was going to add on right there. So I saw it maybe a little aggressive, a little sideways, but given this context, that's a good trade too. Takes a little bit, but it gets on down there. So now we're back at our trend line. We're gonna try to buy it. It's just that's nothing. We gotta get a like a higher low. We don't get the higher low because this one goes lower. And even something that you might want to have play out before we look for that long is if this is our trend, we need a breakout side. It's arguable. It's you could argue this isn't a convincing breakout side, but we need a breakout side and a move to a new low. So on one scale, there might be a breakout side move to a new low, but this you could see it a couple different ways. So I would just wait until we're clear on what's going on again. So we need a reversal pattern. And okay, we kept going lower. If you want, just extend that out. So if I extend it out, still gets us kind of in that same place, bouncing off the low side. And then now we get a clear breakout side. It's kind of an interesting trade. This is a clear breakout side and a second entry short. Um, I think you should trade this short. It's a setup. This will be the last one. It's 8:30. Yeah, 8:33. I think you okay. It got you your scalp. Yeah, it got you your scalp. Just didn't get much more than that. And now you can see it's going sideways. So now we're starting to get a clear idea of what's going on. Some congestion. So that was the first 2 hours of today. There were some good trades early on, and then over here in the middle, it was a little slow, not too bad. And then you just have to be a little aggressive in here to find the trades. But not a terrible day. I kind of yeah, it was okay. Definitely okay. Let's zoom through the rest of the day, kind of get a feel for what else we had going on. You can see we're just kind of going sideways. It's really choppy, but we're just kind of in the range. That's what it was. That's what it was. So I try to go a little more in depth, a little too long-winded, I feel. But yeah, man, we're out of here. Kamal Hart signing out. See y'all.